You're talking today about police committing to pursue all reasonable lines of inquiry. Why on earth are they not doing that already?
Good morning. Very pleased to join you. Well, since I've become Home Secretary about a year ago, I've been working on a huge programme of police reform to ensure that the police get back to basics, common sense policing, as I call it. It means removing unnecessary burdens from police time, like mental health call-outs or Home Office counting rules and needless bureaucracy. It means a record number of police officers, and now it also means taking every crime seriously, ensuring that no crime is treated as minor, and making sure that they follow up on every reasonable line of inquiry. This is a landmark commitment. I've challenged the police to make this agreement. It's now over to them to actually deliver this on the ground on case-by-case instances, so that victims of crime have greater confidence in the police, knowing that they will follow up on leads, that they will take theft, robbery, drug dealing, street-level drug crime more seriously.
But there are no extra resources, there are no extra staff to do these jobs. The police are not sitting around on their hands, are they? They are all working at the moment. So what will go as a result of this? What will they not be investigating?
Well, I disagree with you. There are no extra resources. We've just recruited 20,000 additional police officers. So we now have
recruited 3,000 additional police officers. You lost 20,000 police officers, didn't you, over from 2010 up to the latest date? So you've lost 20,000, you've gained 23,000. So you've gained 3,000.
That's wrong. We now have a record number of police officers.
It's the Home Office figures that I have here.
Ever in the history of policing, far higher than any previous administration. So the police have the greatest number of police officers they've ever had at their disposal.
Okay.
We've also
got the Home Office figures. You've got 149,000 police officers at the moment. There were 146 in 2010. So absolutely, you have got 3,000 more officers. These are the Home Office figures.
Yeah, we've got a record number of police officers ever in the history of policing. So that's the highest number of men and women working on the front line to stop crime and support victims. But what this is about, it's about things like robbery, it's about phone theft, it's about watch theft, it's about muggings, it's about vehicle theft, it's about street-level drug use and drug dealing. It's ensuring and instilling confidence in the public that the police will follow up when they see leads and they have actionable evidence. So if a victim of crime comes forward and has some evidence that their car is being resold online, if a victim of crime has CCTV footage of a burglary being committed or a robbery taking place, if they can provide information from a Find My Phone tracking app or GPS data, if there's a sight or smell of cannabis on the streets, those kinds of leads, those evidential leads, will be sufficient now for the police to take action and to follow those up. That's modelled on a successful and pioneering approach taken in Greater Manchester Police, where following every reasonable line of inquiry, work to increase the charge rate, increase outcomes for victims, and increase victim confidence.
Let's move on to asylum, of course, which is very much a large part of your brief. It's been reported today that the government is considering tagging asylum seekers arriving in the UK to prevent those that you can't house in detention centres disappearing from the system. Is this true? Is this something you're looking at?
We've just enacted a landmark piece of legislation in the form of our Illegal Migration Act that empowers us to detain those who arrive here illegally and thereafter to swiftly remove them to a safe country like Rwanda.
But will you put tags on them in the meantime?
That will require a power to detain and ultimately control those people. We need to exercise a level of control of people if we're to remove them from the United Kingdom. We are considering a range of options. We have several thousand or a couple of thousand detention places in our existing removal capacity. We will be working intensively to increase that. But it's clear we're exploring a range of options, all options, to ensure that we have that level of control over people so that they can flow through our system swiftly to enable us to thereafter remove them from the United Kingdom.
So not ruling it out. I mean, the legal challenges to the Rwanda scheme are going on through the courts, not expected to be resolved until almost Christmas. You've got 2,000 spaces in the system. That's not enough, is it? What on earth are you going to do with all the others?
Well, let's be clear. No one is suggesting that we need to build, 40,000 new detention places. That's not what we are proposing. We will need to increase some of our detention capacity, but we already have, as I say, a few thousand places in existence already. This is about flow. This is about ensuring that people who arrive are processed quickly through our system and thereafter are removed swiftly. So we do have capacity existing right now. We're going to use that. But let's be clear, yes, we will have to wait until the outcome of our litigation in the Supreme Court relating to Rwanda. And if we are successful, we will be operationalising our policy. If we're thwarted by the courts, if we're stopped from doing so, we'll do whatever it takes to ensure that we can stop the boats. That's a pledge that the Prime Minister has made. That's one that I have made. It's one that we are working both night and day to deliver.
It isn't working, though, is it? Last week alone, there were 1,773 migrants who crossed the Channel. Do you not think it was a mistake to make such a bold pledge at the start of the year?
It's what the British people expect of us. It's what I passionately believe is the right thing to do. And we are making progress. As I said, we've passed our landmark legislation. But let's also be clear about what we're up against. We're up against a range of forces which are intent on stopping us, whether it's immigration lawyers, charities, NGOs, many of whom have very close links with the Labour Party, operating night and day to stop us in delivering this pledge through legal challenges in the courts, through administering dodgy legal advice to illegal asylum claimants and illegal migrants, through sometimes facilitating illegal migration through their so-called charitable work. There's a range of forces that we are dealing with, including no less than the Labour Party, which is intent on
Well, the Labour Party haven't been in power for 13
years.
years, so it does seem a little rich to blame them for the crossing numbers.
No plan whatsoever to stop the boats. They support free movement of people, and actually they want to facilitate illegal migration.
Well, let's get back to what the Conservative government is doing. We're giving France £500 million over 3 years to try to boost policing on the beaches there. I mean, is it good value for money? In terms of the number of intercepts that are carried out, it's actually fallen slightly this year compared to last year, hasn't it? I mean, is it worth the paper that it's written on?
Our relationship with France is absolutely critical to succeeding in stopping the boats. I work very closely with my opposite number, the Interior Minister for France, and I know at the highest levels between Prime Minister and President, we are collaborating and working closely. We now have, for the first time ever, UK Border Force officers working side by side with French Border Force officers in France to increase the surveillance, to increase the intelligence sharing. And there have been hundreds of arrests of people smuggling gangs and convictions of those who are facilitating illegal migration across the Channel. It's vital that we work upstream. But let's also be clear, the only effective way to stop this problem is to break the model of the people smuggling gangs through upstream interception, but also by deterrence and ensuring that those who attempt this journey in the first place will be penalised and will have to face consequences such as removal from the United Kingdom.
Before we go, Nadine Dorries, of course, resigned at the weekend. What did you make of her resignation letter? Do you feel you're part of a zombie government?
Well, I respect Nadine Dorries, but I disagree with much of her letter. I believe that we've achieved a huge amount. I know Rishi Sunak is a man of action and he's made some important pledges to the British people. He's intent on delivering them, as am I and every Conservative member of Parliament.
Will you run for leader if he's forced out at the general election?
I'm here to stop the boats. I'm here to support Rishi Sunak, and I'll be campaigning energetically for Rishi Sunak to be re-elected as Prime Minister, for the Conservatives to win the next general election. And I believe that we have a good chance of winning that election if we meet all of our pledges, and in particular, if we succeed in stopping the boats.
Home Secretary Suella Braverman, thank you very much.